So I've been bartending for about 2 years now, and I've seen some crazy shit behind the bar. I've seen patrons cheating on their spouses at the bar. I've seen patrons shit themselves at the bar. And I've also been offered a wide variety of different drugs while working behind the bar. So I thought I'd come on here and share some funny ass stories. So my most recent gig was pretty rough. I was a bartender at an upscale retirement community. The job was brutal and it didn't pay well, and I was working with a lot of old people throughout the day. Now, this one night I was working, this was actually only 2 fucking weeks ago. This one night I was working, it was very busy at the bar. I had a lot of guests. I usually have a few regulars that come in and sit down and get, dinner, food, and drinks, but the bar was packed tonight. We just had a bunch of old ladies playing bridge, big crowd. Some people had their families in. The bar was packed, and I was making only an hourly wage. I didn't get any tips at this place, man. But anyways, you get the idea. It's a busy night. I'm running the bar, and I have these two regulars that usually come in, and we'll call them the Smiths for the video. So Mr. and Mrs. Smith walk in, they order their usual wine for the evening, and they sit down and they start to talk to the other guests. Now, the Smiths are very well-liked residents here at this retirement community that I was working at. They got along famously with the other residents, and they were a part of the regulars that would come to my bar every night to hang out. But this night was a little weird. They sat down, start talking to the other guests, and I immediately see the other residents' faces kind of light up near them. Like, their eyes get kind of wide, they're perching up, they're wiggling their noses, they're kind of looking at each other. And I was like, all right, maybe Mr. and Mrs. Smith has passed gas. Sometimes that happens. These older people can't hold it. You fart a little bit in front of your homies. Shit happens, right? But as I'm working the bar, the smell hits me. And keep in mind, these guys were sitting maybe, I don't know, 15 feet away. And the smell of just straight poop hit my nostrils. And as I turn to look towards the Smith's table, I can see the residents all kind of wide-eyed and confused. And some of the residents at the surrounding tables that were eating with their families start to make these really rough faces and turn and look towards the Smith's table. And this is a very awkward situation for me. I was not so sure what to do here. Some of the residents that were really old and in worse for wear shape, they had caretakers with them. So if something like this happened, the caretakers could just wheel them away, change them, and everything would be fine. But the Smiths were here on their own. They didn't have any caretakers. I tried to ignore it for the first few minutes because I thought maybe dude was just really gassy, but the smell of poop was just filling the entire bar, and I had other residents come up to me and complain about it. This one older lady and her daughter came up to me complaining about the smell in the bar, and at that point, I had to do something about it. So I didn't want to make a big deal of it, so I decided, you know what, I'm going to try and handle this as professionally as possible. I had a lot of training before I worked in the nursing home, but nobody trained me on what to do with this, right? So I approached the Smith's table, and everybody's looking at me. People could tell, oh, he's about to handle this. I go up, I greet the table. How is everybody doing tonight? How are we doing with our drinks? And after I check in on the table and the other residents start talking, I quietly lean down to the Smiths and I say, hey, is everything going okay? Or do you guys need me to get somebody for you? Maybe I could get my manager or we could get a healthcare worker, or like, are you doing okay? In my mind, maybe I thought that he was too embarrassed to do something about it, or I don't know what the deal was, but I needed to talk to him about it. And dude, it smelled so fucking bad. I didn't want to be rude and like cover my nose while I was talking to him, but it smelled so awful. It was disgusting. And Mr. Smith is trying to talk to me and he's speaking so quietly and I can't hear him. So I have to lean into him to hear him. And the smell is even worse. And he looks up at me and he smiles at me and he's like, oh, I'm doing great. He's like, nah, man, I'm doing great. Like, I'm enjoying my dinner. Everything is fine. So I go back to the bar, and at this point, I'm starting to get a little bit upset. The whole bar smells like shit. I have drink orders that I'm behind on because all these residents are talking to me about how poorly it smells in here. So after about 20 minutes of trying to deal with the situation myself, I say fuck it. And I go over to my manager's office in the dining hall. And I open the door, and my manager is there with some of the overheads of the dining committee and the food and beverage managers, like people that hired me and are directly in charge of my job, are all sitting in this office. They all greet me, they're happy to see me because I did pretty good work, and they're asking if there's a problem because I looked very distraught. And without skipping a beat, I had no idea what to say, so I just said straight up, I was like, look, one of my residents has shat themselves at the bar, and I don't know what to do about it. Everybody in the dining office starts dying laughing. One of the security guards was walking around Wayne, and he heard us laughing and peeped into the door, and my manager brought him in and told him what was happening, and he started laughing. Obviously, it's a pretty quirky situation, but I didn't really want to laugh at anybody. I know that when you get old, it's harder to control this kind of thing. And I really just wanted to deal with the situation so I could finish my shift and go home, right? But, anyways, my managers and overheads are dying laughing, and then they tell me to go back to the bar and that they'll get some healthcare workers in to deal with it. I go back to the bar, and it is almost completely empty in the front half with the tables except for the Smiths and one other dude sitting with the Smiths whose nose was probably so fried that he couldn't even smell what was going on. There were mountains of half-finished drinks and food left on the platters and the tables, just so much to clean up, and there's Mr. and Mrs. Smith just enjoying their dinner and drinks and one other guy just chilling with them. I'm trying to be professional, acting like everything is normal. I go back to the bar and I see I have some more drink tickets, so I start to prepare them to run out to the dining hall. And I see some of the nurses come in. There are these two big black lady nurses that walk into my bar and they approach the Smiths. I see one of them lean down and whisper into his ear, and he looks up at her with this kind of shocked expression. And I guess now they're both on the same page as to what's going on. I felt kind of bad because Mr. Smith's face got bright red and his wife was really confused, but shit, dude. I mean, literally. I'm already upset because everybody left my bar on a dime, so I have a ton of food plates and half drinking cups to clean up, right? It's a ton of shit that I have to deal with. And as these nurses are guiding Mr. Smith up to get him out of the bar, to, get him cleaned up, there's no classy way I can say this. Some of the issue escaped down his pant leg and got on the floor, the hardwood floor, as he was walking out of the bar. And his wife saw it. She made a face, got up, walked out. And the other guy that was sitting at the bar saw it, got up, and walked out. So I'm sitting at the bar watching these two big black lady nurses lead out Mr. Smith as a trail of shit is coming out of his pant leg all throughout my bar. I'm not gonna lie, I was really debating on putting in my 2-week notice, but this was the nail in the coffin. I walked out, I went up to my food and bev manager, I told her what happened and that I was not willing to clean up and finish closing the bar while there was shit on the floor. It was not gonna happen, I wasn't gonna do it. Initially, she wanted me to hang around until like a few hours after the kitchen closed so that the janitors could get to me and clean it up, and then I could go in after the janitors cleaned up. But then she just said, you know what, I'm not gonna keep you here all night. You can just go home and we'll figure this out. And that night I sent my boss an email and I put in my 2-week notice. So, hey, I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Pretty shitty situation, but dog, that's where I draw the line. If you're shitting in my bar, stinking it up, I'm getting you out of there. So, hey, hope you guys liked it. That's the video. Peace.